Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Wednesday. It's Daryl here. It is bright and freaking early, man. It's 5 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. You can tell here I'm dressed in my workout apparel. This is kind of an impromptu video. I was just kind of in between my weightlifting and going out for my walk around town. A little note on that. I haven't run into the situation, the confrontation. I have not seen this guy in a couple days, so we'll see what happens. But I was just about to leave to go on my walk, and I saw a news story on TV, and I want to talk a little bit about it. And I don't know if I have any room to really talk about this because I don't have any kids. But I just want to make a few comments. Another thing, too, is I don't like looking like one of those old people or older people that are always commenting on younger generations. You know, like back in my day, we were tougher and we walked, we walked uphill both ways in 12 feet of snow to school. I don't like being that guy. Because it seems like every generation does that. For eternity, people have been doing that. Commenting that their generation was tougher. But I need to talk about this. Like I said, I don't have kids, so I don't know what the situation really is in school right now. I don't have nephews, nieces. I don't have any kids. I don't really have any contact with the younger generation. But I just saw this news story, and they're talking about Governor Newsom in California is talking about restricting cell phones in school to some degree. And we didn't have cell phones. There was no such thing as cell phones. I graduated in 1984. I went to high school from 1980 to 1984. And I just want to talk briefly about that and how I think it really benefited us. All right. Now I cannot imagine how a teacher can get anything done if kids actually have their cell phones on them in class. Even if they tell the kids to leave the cell phones off. I remember what I was like as a teenager, and wanted to talk to my girlfriend or my buddies or whatever. I can't imagine how they get anything done with a cell phone ringing and the kid answering the cell phone in class, because they were actually just talking about that in this segment on TV about kids answering the phone in the middle of class. And I can't imagine that happening back when I was in high school. I mean, that would have got you expelled, for doing something, like, oh, hold on, I got to get my phone, I got to do this, telling the teacher, wait a second, Okay, so back when I was in high school, we had a couple, I think we had one, maybe two payphones, okay, and we survived, because in this news article, in this news piece, they talked about, we know that kids need these cell phones for emergencies to contact their families or to set up rides after school. We survived just fine. We would make plans, to get, we would actually communicate face to face with our family and make plans to, if we needed to get picked up or use the payphone, and we survived. There was no catastrophic emergencies. There was no, pandemic of accidents because we didn't have cell phones. This is the thing I want to talk about too, though, because I'm sure that nowadays kids are talking and texting and sexting or whatever to their significant others, and I think they're really missing out on something big. Because one of my fondest memories are those we had little notes. We would fold up a piece of notebook paper. We'd write a note to our girlfriend or vice versa, girl to the boyfriend, and we would fold up the notebook paper into like a football, we called it, the triangle shaped where you punt it. And those are notes. I remember, like, even into my 20s, I kept like 2 shoe boxes full of notes I had gotten from, I don't know, probably at least a dozen different girls I had dated during high school. And I wish to God I still had those. It would be such a great memory going back through these. And here's the thing I remember about those notes that I would get from girls in back when I was in junior high, and especially in high school, is I remember the difference with this is you could see their writing. Like the girls had this really beautiful feminine penmanship. And I remember actually like looking at the words in the penmanship, and you almost fall in love with the way, it's like her writing was beautiful, or their writing was beautiful. It was so, it was dainty. And that's one thing the kids, you're missing out on that. And then there would be things like, like lipstick. One of the best memories, though, is I remember a lot of times the girls would put perfume or scents on these notes, and you could actually smell, the scent, the perfume that the girl wore on these notes. Not all of them did this, but it's a fond memory I have of this. I remember opening up those shoe boxes, and it just, it was a flood. They say your nose is one of the strongest parts of your memory. And I remember opening up these shoe boxes back. I think they got lost. I wish to God I still had these note boxes. There was hundreds of notes from girls in high school. I wish I still had them. But there was the pink ones with the feminine. Like I said, I remember, I could tell different girls writing the penmanship, because it was all loopy and, feminine. Like, I don't even know how to describe it. Nowadays, kids probably don't even know what I'm talking about. And like I said, there would be lipstick on or drawings, like the guys would do drawings of something or other, and that's the kids nowadays are just sending each other, well, they're sending each other pictures, I don't know, probably maybe graphic pictures once in a while, but they're missing out on this simpler time where there was more of a connection, a much more personal connection in these notes as opposed to the cell phone. I really believe that even though the cell phone has given kids so much, it's taken away such a personal element of communication. Another thing that just occurred to me too was when we used to do projects at school, when I used to do term papers or whatever, we would have encyclopedias. I remember actually reading these books about Encyclopedia Brown, Boy Detective, and kids nowadays probably don't even know what an encyclopedia is. I remember having a whole set of encyclopedias in my living room, and we would do footnotes and research through all these books, and it was a lot of work, but it took more brain power, more thinking, to search for different parts of what you're looking for. They put the footnotes where you got it and all this other stuff, and nowadays it's just it's just cut and paste, and I really think they're missing out on the critical thinking aspect, but more than that, they're missing out on this personal interpersonal thing, dating. One of the best things I remember I used to love getting these notes. I could feel my heart pound in my chest when I would get these notes from girls. I swear to God, true story. Does that happen nowadays? When they get a text from somebody, does their heart start pounding? Do they get that adrenaline, that excited rush? I doubt it. You guys, this generation is really, the technology, you're really missing out on a lot of the interpersonal, direct, heartfelt, face-to-face relationships that we used to have. Generation X. All right. That's the video for today. I got more videos coming up. I want to talk about my bike. I know all of you aren't mountain bike or bicycle fanatic fans or whatever, but I need to talk about this. I need to talk about my Schwinn. Anyway, that's coming up on Artisan Recovery. Have a good Wednesday.